nervously. She answered in English. She wanted people to forget she was French as much as possible, and that meant always speaking in English, though the effort gave her an awful headache some evenings. "The dancers look to be having such a wonderful time." The comment was not subtle, nor did she intend it to be. "You have not had much opportunity to dance tonight, have you?" Lady Ravensgate said sympathetically. Collette shook her head, eyeing Draven. He knew he was cornered. He took a fortifying breath. "May I have the honour of the next dance, mademoiselle?" Collette put a hand to her heart, pretending to be shocked. "Oh, but sir, you needn't feel obligated." "Nonsense. It would be my pleasure." She gave a curtsy and he bowed. "Excuse me." He would return to collect her at the beginning of the next set. That would allow her a few minutes to think of a strategy. "Do not mention the codes," Lady Ravensgate said in a hushed voice, though Collette had not asked for advice. "Lead him to the topic, but you should not give any indication you know anything about them." Of course, she had danced with dozens of men and initiated dozens of conversations she hoped would lead to the information she needed. Lady Ravensgate's tutelage had been wholly ineffective thus far. She always told Collette not to mention the codes. Her only other piece of advice seemed to be, "And do not mention your father." Collette nodded stiffly. That was the other. As though she needed to be told not to mention a known French assassin to a member of Britain's Foreign Office. What might have been more helpful were suggestions for encouraging the man to speak of his service during the recent war with Napoleon. Few of the men she had danced with had wanted to discuss the war or their experiences in it. The few she had managed to pry war stories from did not know anything about how the British had cracked the French secret code, and they seemed to know even less about the code the British used to encrypt their own messages. But she had learned enough to believe that Draven ranked high enough that he would have access to the codes Britain used to encrypt their missives. It had taken a month, but she would finally speak with the man who had what she needed. She watched the dancers on the floor turn and walk, link arms and turn again. The ladies' dresses belled as they moved, their gloved wrists sparkling in the light of the chandeliers. They laughed, a tinkling, carefree sound that carried over the strains of violin and cello. Not so long ago, Collette had danced just as blithely. Paris in the time of Napoleon had been the centre of French society, and her father had been invited to every fête, every soirée. He hadn't attended many, after all. He made people nervous. But when he was required to attend, he brought Collette as his escort. She couldn't have known that a few years later she would be doing those same dances in an effort to save his life. The dance ended and Collette admired the fair-skinned English beauties as they promenaded past her. She had olive-toned skin and dark hair, her figure too curvaceous for the current fashions. Then Draven was before her, hand extended. With a quick look at Lady Ravensgate, that snake in the grass, Collette took his hand and allowed herself to be led to the centre of the dance floor. The orchestra began to play a quadrille, and she curtsied to the other dancers in their square. She and Draven danced first, passing the couple opposite as they made their way from one side of the square to the other and back again. Finally, she and Draven stood while the waiting couples danced, and she knew this was her chance. Before she could speak, Draven nodded to her. "How do you like the dance?" She'd been unprepared for the question, and the only English response she could think of was, "Hedgehog mating rituals are prolonged affairs in which the male and female circle one another." In truth, the dance did seem like a mating ritual of sorts, but unless she wanted to shock the man, she had to find another comparison. More importantly, she did not have much time to steer the conversation in the direction she needed. She had not answered yet, and he looked at her curiously. Collette cleared her throat. "The dance does not remind me of hedgehogs." His eyes widened. "Merde, imbécile." "Oh, that is not right," she said quickly. "Sometimes my words are not..."